Thank you, Senator Schmidt. Senator Welch.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi. I have noticed that at various times when one of my colleagues is pressing you, you come up with something in their background. So I'll be waiting for my turn, but you don't have to do it right now. So let me get to my questions. One of the things that you mentioned, and I agree with this, that it's really tough on the various federal workforce, including our law enforcement folks, who are not getting paid because of the shutdown. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. But I also think that wasn't the whole story. There is an issue here that's going to affect Americans, whether they voted for President Trump or voted for Vice President Harris, and that is the loss of health care, where on November 1st, everyone who is getting Affordable Care Act help to buy insurance is going to get the notice of premium increases. And I got a letter just today from a Vermont family, nuclear family of 5, husband and wife, 54 and 55, with 3 kids, one of whom has acute myeloid leukemia. And the apprehension that they have is that if we don't solve this problem, and November 1 is a urgent date, then their family premiums will triple. It'll be beyond their ability to pay. So I'm assuming that with respect to the threat to health care for families in your state of Florida, in my state of Vermont, you would share that concern and hope that we would resolve that.
Senator Welch, I would be happy to speak with that family too, because there are many nonprofits that help with children with terminal illnesses, and I'm involved in some in Florida. So we would be happy to talk to you about that. As to health care, the government is shut down. It's my understanding, maybe you're not one of them, but because many Democrats want health care for illegal aliens, and that's what shut down the government.
Let me
That's
be clear.
one of the sticking points, and I don't know if you voted
all right, well,
for that or not.
This actually is important to all of us, and the lament I have is that if this health care goes away, this premium support, it is really going to hurt families.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm really confused right now because, hang on, I mean, this is Attorney General Pam Bondi at a Judiciary Committee hearing, and Senator Welch is talking about healthcare. Like, I'm kind of confused that I'm trying to figure out, where's the disconnect between my rational thinking and what the senator right here is actually discussing, and why. Why is he discussing this with the Attorney General? I really don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know how she can help with any of these issues right here. Like, she has nothing to do with healthcare whatsoever. Hey, look, my heart goes out to people that are suffering right now with healthcare or whatever, but you can thank Democrats for that because they take the state-subsidized healthcare and they give it to criminal aliens, right? Taking away from you. This is what Democrats do, folks. They take your resources and give it to people that don't belong here. They're not supposed to be here. They violated our federal laws to come across the southern border, to come into this country, just to get a free handout from these people, these very people, these Democrats. Folks, this country is in a bad way right now. The Democratic Party is in a massive hole. They are just so deep off into it. I don't see how they can actually come back from this without just completely abandoning everything that they represent. Just about everything they represent, they must abandon, turn around, and come back from where they're at, because they are assaulting ICE agents all over the place. They're using the bureaucracy of the state to try to stop federal law enforcement, folks. Do you know what that means? Do you guys understand the gravity of the situation that we're in right now? It is deep, folks. If Trump does not put a stop to this, and Democrats, right? It can't be Trump. It must be Democrats. They've got to make a U-turn here. They must do a 180 and come back from the brink. Because that's where they're at. They're headed toward a cliff. If they haven't already fallen off of that cliff, to be honest with you. Their policy positions make absolutely no sense for the most part. How are you going to direct your state municipalities, your state government, for crying out loud, against the federal government over law enforcement, folks? It's truly insane. But we're talking about, look, I done got off a topic. Y'all smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere that you can. These Democrats just drive me up the freaking wall. Click that join button, sign up and become a member. That is the best way to help this channel expand and grow. And I absolutely need y'all's help, folks. So y'all do all that for me. And here you go, folks. Here's the rest of the interaction.
In red states and blue states. And in Vermont, I mean, we voted Democratic, but we have a lot of good folks who voted for President Trump, and their health care is jeopardized. And there's a November 1 deadline that is coming up. And the reason I'm saying this is that I think it's important for us to try to work out together a resolution that's going to be beneficial to people you care about in Florida and voted for President Trump, and keep people I care about in Vermont who voted in some cases for Vice President Harris and some for President Trump. So it's not just Democrats not wanting to negotiate. And in fact, we do want to negotiate. And that's why I'd encourage the president to encourage my colleagues on the Republican side to sit down with us and try to see if we can make some progress. Another topic, with the respective voting rights in the letter that your voting rights chief sent out, we got one in Vermont, and it's a demand to get all the information on the voting file. And in that letter, in the announcement of that letter, the chief indicated an apprehension about the voting process being taken over by, quote, the left. Now, do you have any information with respect to Vermont about a takeover of the voting process by, quote, the left?
Senator, I'm not familiar with what you're referring to. We are currently involved in voter roll lawsuits in 6 states. Is that what you're referring to?
No, there's a letter that went out demanding that states, including Vermont, provide all the voting file information,
Right.
includes personal information. But when that letter was sent out,
That's perfectly legal.
but there was an assertion by the chief in this division that this was to deal with the fact that the voting process has been taken over by the left. So we got one of those letters in Vermont. And my question to you is, what do you mean by the left? And do you have any evidence that the so-called system has been overtaken by the left?
We must have fair and free elections.
No, I know that. But I'm asking for the specific basis.
And we will have fair and free elections in this country.
Okay, let me-
Senator, I'd be happy to talk to my chief. Who was it who said that?
It was your chief, which I assume you would know who that is. Here's the question here, okay? There is a point of view that is in dispute here about the fairness of elections. But you have the power as the as the Attorney General to use the authority of your office to make demands on states. And you did that with Vermont. That's within your right to do it. I'm not disputing your legal authority to do it.
Is Vermont disputing turning over the information to our office?
Vermont is, the Secretary of State is. And you can resolve that with her. But
And we have every right to have that information.
Yeah, but here's where
Senator.
I'm going.
Why wouldn't they want to turn it
You're
over?
a prosecutor with the awesome authority to make the decision that you're going to start an investigation against the state or against an individual. And I know from your experience as a county prosecutor and as the Attorney General in Florida, you took seriously that obligation to have a factual basis before you'd proceed, right?
Senator, I take that role, I take my oath very seriously.
All right, so what I'm
And I
asking-
take fair and free elections in this
No,
country
we
very
all-
seriously.
we all
And that
do.
information, our office is entitled to have that information.
But
And we
the
are
question
involved
here-
in litigation on that, and I
Here's the
assume we'll be
question
involved
I
in
have.
litigation with
We have-
Vermont.
We have a Republican governor in Vermont. We had our former Republican governor was the treasurer for many years. and also the Secretary of State with election responsibility. What I'm asking is, do you or does your head of this voting section have any factual basis that you can point to that justifies your demand that Vermont turn over all this confidential voting rights information?
Well, it would remain confidential with my office, and you just said that you have a Republican governor, so it doesn't make sense what you just said. We've asked that of every state, Senator.
Right, and I'm asking about Vermont and what the factual basis is, but we can move on. You've mentioned that you can't discuss pending litigation, and I think the committee by and large accepted that answer. But I did notice that you spoke at great length about pending litigation, specifically with respect to the questions Senator Cruz asked you about the sentencing of the Kavanaugh defendant. That's pending, right?
He was sentenced to 8 years.
I understand that, but that's on appeal, right?
We will be appealing.
Right, so that makes it pending litigation. So you made an exception with respect to
No.
the Cruz questions.
Hold on. No,
but you
those
didn't
were-
answer
those were
any of the
things-
questions that you said were pending at litigation from any of my colleagues.
Those were facts that came out at the sentencing hearing. You're welcome to see the transcript of the sentencing
No, I
hearing with all
understand
the
that.
gruesome details of what they threatened to do to Justice Kavanaugh and other justices.
I condemn what that person did.
That was the sentencing.
But the point here is that that's pending litigation. You indicated you're going to be appealing. It's your right to do that. And you would not, you use that justification to not answer many other questions.
Justification, you're an attorney, Senator.
Okay.
You realize that.
I do want to go back to Homan. There's a tape, right, with Mr. Homan? I mean, first of all, is there a tape that has audio and video of the transfer of the $50,000?
You would have to talk to Director Patel about that.
No, I'm talking to you.
I don't know the answer, Senator.
Yet you do know the answer to that.
Don't call me a liar.
I didn't call you a liar.
You just said I know the answer. I said I don't know the answer.
Well,
you have to talk to
okay, let
Director
me-
Patel. What I said is that
Let me put it
investigation was
another way.
closed.
If you don't know, why don't you know whether there was a tape and video?
Senator, I believe that was resolved prior to my confirmation as Attorney General.
Do you think that it is of public interest for the people to know what happened to the $50,000 that the FBI turned over to Homan?
Did you hear what I just said? That was resolved prior to my confirmation as Attorney General. That's why I said I would not know.
It's not resolved. There's $50,000. Homan has it, or somebody has it. Do you have no interest in knowing where it is?
You're not going to sit here and slander Tom Homan. The FBI and Deputy Director Blanche said there was nothing.
I'm not slamming
And-
Tom Homan. He got the $50,000.
Tom Homan is doing, how do you know that? Tom Homan is doing a great job, as our borders are, keeping your border state safe. You're a border state.
Thank
time
you,
is
Senator
up.
Welch.
Thank
We're
you.
going to
Madam President, could I have
not right
1
now.
minute?
Not right now. At the end,
On a
if you wait, we'll
point of
talk about
personal
it.
privilege?
Not right now. There,
So,
Senator
witness-
Tillis and many others have been waiting their turn.
I know,
So
but
you
this is
can
1
hold
minute,
until
and
the
it
end.
relates to testimony that she gave
No,
about me.
Senator Tillis, go ahead.
I mean, the chief of election integrity is absolutely right. He's right. The institutions have been captured by the left. Voting has been captured by the left, except in Republican states. It's kind of teetering on the brink, if you will, right? But like, what he means by that is, I imagine they want all of those records. They can, shove those records into an AI and have that AI kind of correlate everything and try to figure out if there's any criminal aliens voting in our elections. Hey, that's one way to do it, right? The AI will find that almost instantly. It can sift through all that data in 0.23.2 seconds, 0.4 times, right? I mean, I don't know why there's so many decimal places in there. It's not my numbers, it's their numbers. As a matter of fact, that's a factual number, by the way. But, I imagine the AI could sift through that right quick, figure out, correlate, are these people citizens? Were they voting? We know that many of these local districts, they absolutely allow criminal aliens, non-citizens, not necessarily criminal aliens, but non-citizens, to vote in their elections, which doesn't make any sense. That violates federal laws. And we've gone over this several times. Like, do you think these polling locations are going to delineate when they have a non-citizen registered to vote in local elections whenever there's a federal election and there's also local politicians on the ballot for that federal election, because you know there always is? Do you think that that polling machine is going to delineate and not allow the non-citizens to vote in that election only for the local municipality? Do you think that's going to happen? I mean, we must ask ourselves these questions. So I think it's a very good move. I think they're going to go over everything, look at all the rules, the regulations. We know in 2020, Democrats went from state to state to state to change the rules and change the laws to allow Democrats to get a leg up in elections in certain states. Once again, they allow for ballot harvesting, counting the ballots well past the due date. Once again, to say it's being captured by the left, folks, think about it like this. We no longer have an election day. We have an election month and a half, just about, because you can go and early vote, then you got voting by mail, all this other nonsense that Republicans really didn't vote for the most part, right? Most states only allowed voting by mail because of COVID. I mean, it kind of just came into popularity in recent years. So, all this early voting nonsense, look, I get it, I understand, but a lot of these people, they allow people to vote way too early. They allow a lot of these mail-in ballots. They don't, with a very, very lax signature verification, on a lot of these ballots. I imagine sometimes they don't even check these things because it doesn't matter to most people. We need integrity in our elections if we want to have a serious country, right? We can't allow all this impropriety going on all over the place. We can't allow a group of Democrats to go state to state to state to state to change rules to benefit Democrats and put Republicans in a hole. Because, at the time, Republicans, Donald Trump was telling everybody, vote in person on election day. Well, Democrats used that to their advantage. Well, that didn't work out so much this time, did it? No, it didn't. But I love this. He starts going off on Tom Homan, too. Like, what are you doing, my dude? Like, seriously. Like, this issue here, these Democrats don't care about the truth. They don't care about the truth at all. They hear a report, they pretend that report is factual, and it's just the truth, and that's it. The corporate press never lies about anything ever, and let's treat this as the gospel just because we can use it as a political bludgeon to bludgeon the other side with. That's all they're doing with that. And Adam Schiff is coming up next. I've already watched that segment. And he absolutely goes off, and he absolutely, once again, as we know, lies about just about everything, pretends this whole thing is real, pretends everything is on the up and up, that for some reason the Biden administration decided not to arrest Tom Homan. I don't understand how people cannot connect that. I don't get that, folks. Like, the corporate press and Democrats are treating this as if it's real. Oh, they dropped the investigation. Well, you know what? The investigation has been going on for a year. Like, seriously, folks. Tom Homan had been in office for a couple of months at that point. He doesn't have any real political power, by the way. He's just an advisor. So once again, even if the FBI, going rogue or whatever, why didn't they arrest this man right at the beginning of Trump's administration? Even if they wanted to wait, were they seriously going to wait until he gave out some sort of contract? Well, you know what that means, folks? That means he would have never been arrested for accepting $50,000, and we will never, ever know. We will never know if he did it or not, right? But I call BS on all this. I absolutely call BS. I'm sorry. Look, this is not how the police operate. You do not, right, have an undercover go and sell drugs to somebody and then allow them to take those drugs and sell them to somebody else to leave your presence and go run off and do their own thing? Sorry, that's not how those things work. You arrest them almost immediately at that point whenever they accept the drugs. It's stupid. It really, really is stupid. All right, sure, there may be a couple of instances where that might happen, but I highly doubt it. They're not going to let the dude just run off into the ether and not keep track of this guy. Like, none of this makes any sense, folks. Especially on something like this. This is $50,000. You've got the dude red-handed. You got the guy red-handed right now. You could arrest him for accepting a bribe. Why did they not do it? Because it's not real, folks. And I don't know how many times I can say this to people. Give them the logic here, and they still don't believe me. Where's the $50,000? That $50,000 might not even exist. Did you ever think about that? That might not even exist. I love this, folks. Plus, it would be as simple as going to look at the man's tax return. Like, I heard one of the senators, I didn't talk about it the other day, but one of the senators, not Welch, but I think the previous senator, I forget who it was right off the top of my head, but he said something, oh, well, let's wait and see what happens on his tax return. My dude, did you not understand that happened midsummer 2024? He would have already had to file his taxes. Plus, once again, that should already be on his taxes. So let's go look at his tax return. Oh, lo and behold, you're not going to find $50,000 because even if he would have accepted the $50,000, you're not going to put a bribe. Like, you're not going to put an extra $50,000 on your tax return. You're going to keep that money hush-hush. That's going to be under the mattress money, as a matter of fact. You're not going to let the government know you know about it. Like, no, I'm sorry. These people are just delusional lunatics. That's all they are, folks. And I can't understand. I still get people in the comments that'll run down and make a comment. Well, you know, the Democratic senator makes a good point. Where is that $50,000? Like, are you kidding me? Like, seriously. I've linked to that video where I covered that news article, I don't know, several times at this point to several different people. And every time I do it, as a matter of fact, crickets, they never respond after that. Never respond. And getting back to the healthcare issue, like, I don't understand that one either. That one's ridiculous. Like, are you kidding me? You're going to talk to the Attorney General like she has any say-so whatsoever over healthcare policy. All right, and once again, we're talking about insurance here. We're not talking about the judicial system. We're not talking about Medicare or Medicaid or anything like that. He said insurance. Like, what the hell does she have to do with any of that? None of it makes any sense, folks, and I'm loving every minute of it. And I've got a bombshell video coming up next, as a matter of fact, where I'm going to compare and contrast Republicans and Democrats. And it's going to be lovely, so you guys get ready for that. It's going to be an enjoyable video. I'm going to bust the Democrats down with logic, because that's what I do, folks. That's all we can do around here this day and age, because this country's on a dark path, folks, and I don't like where it's going. I do not like the response we're getting from Democrats. I do not like the response we're getting from these lunatics. And I don't like necessarily the response we're getting from the Trump administration as well. And the courts have absolutely lost their freaking minds, folks. They have lost their minds. But once again, I think that's all I got on this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section, because I imagine you guys got some opinions. But, you know, it is what it is. We can only discuss these issues. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video all over the place with everybody you know. That would be great. Click that join button, sign up, and become a member. That's the best way to help this channel expand and grow. But without any further ado, folks, this is the end of the video. I want you guys to know that God has a plan for everybody. Each and every one of you out there. You may not know it, you may not understand it, but it's there. And it's tailored specifically for you. And he loves each and every one of you out there. So you guys try to have a good day and stay logical. Peace.